Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah once again, and I really do love astrology with extreme love. Okay, so, anyways, let's talk about today my video. First, I want to mention that I'm sorry I've been away for a little bit, just doing some introspective thinking. All right, so today's video, like I said, is going to be about the planet Mercury. Okay, the planet Mercury is how do you think? What are your cognitive thought processes? And, how do you communicate, language, things of that nature. I don't know. Okay, and this is obviously the glyph for Mercury. Mercury is associated with children. It's also associated with siblings, okay? Um, also, well, neighbors. Yeah, if it's with third. So it's usually people that are surrounding your immediate vicinity, in other words. And Stephen King, oh, sorry, that's the surprise. I rambled. So what's going to go on today is I'm going to talk about Mercury in regards to Stephen King's chart. Okay, Stephen King is a writer. And I said, hey, I really love Stephen King as a writer. And I'm a major fan, so hey. But the thing is, I really don't know anything about Stephen King's life, except that he lives in Maine. And a lot of his stories are based in Maine, I've noticed. And he's been in Maine his entire life, I think. I don't know, like I said. So it's really fun for me to try when I do an interpretation of one's chart and not know anything about them. That's more of a challenge to me. All right. So in regards more to Mercury, I just wanted to say it's never located more than 28 degrees away from the sun. So let's say that you are a Sagittarius Mercury. Your Mercury, well, your sun is Sagittarius. Then the Mercury could either be in Capricorn, Sagittarius, or the preceding side of Scorpio. It's very interesting how that works. Okay, so I just want to say a couple more things regarding Mercury. Mercury is associated with ruling over the signs of Virgo and Gemini. Now, that's great because we have a man here that I'm going to discuss, Stephen King, who happens to be a Virgo. His birthday was on September, wow, I don't know, I just remembered it, 21st, 1947. He just turned 70 this year. Yes, the man has a constitution that is amazing because it's the Scorpio element there. Yeah, just to throw that in there. Scorpios, I've noticed, have very strong institutions. These are people who often refuse to go to doctors, Because why? Because they intuitively know how to take care of their bodies. Okay, so it's associated with the sign of Virgo. And how does Mercury operate in that regard? It's going to operate in an earthy, like Virgo's an earth way. So it's science, so it's going to be resourceful, it's going to be practical. And then we move on to Gemini, which is another sign that rules. And that is going to be more air, intellectual. It's going to be more thoughts. See, Mercury is about spreading the word. Mercury is communication. And in any regard, think of phone lines. Possibly consider the internet. Anything, any way, mail systems, speaking other languages, any way of communicating. You know. All right, so I have done extensive research on this chart too, and I can talk about it for a long time, but I'm going to try to condense it. So I think this was the Mercury, and like I said, especially with Gemini, Virgo, and the third and the sixth house. Those houses are, the third is the communication house and your neighborhood, um, early schooling, middle school, and just oh yeah, like I said, the neighborhood and just stuff like that, short trips. And then the sixth house of health, servants, pets, most of the house of work. All right, so today I'm going to discuss Stephen King's Mercury and how does it work in his chart. How does it have anything to do with Stephen King's brain? Okay, and so first I'm going to start off with something that I thought was extremely well, hold on, really quick, folks. Let me just give you a quick rundown of his just personal planets. What I would call, well, I would call the big three: the ascendant, the sun, and the moon. So let's start out with the sun. Like I said, he's a Virgo, and it happens to be at 27 degrees Virgo. Okay, what does that mean? All right, so a Virgo is a very analytical individual. They are, like I said, practical. They're always willing to help for the most part if they're afflicted. If they're not, they can turn into loner type individuals, hermits. So if you need help, man, call a Virgo. Because for the most part, these people are going to jump out of bed and they're going to assist you at 4 o'clock in the morning because they're very devoted friends. And sadly enough, this may be because they want friends so bad that they will go to these lengths and extents. And what they do have everything to do with Mercury, people communicating, and they want to help. All right, yeah. So, considering other factors, okay, such as perfectionism, and then you can really see that in Stephen King's writing. I have to say that anybody who has read his books know that they are very long most of the time, even a novella of his. And very verbose individual. Yes, he has very well worded. And Mercury in Libra, which we'll talk about. Yes, his Mercury, yes, excellent for a writer. Very, very, very. I don't know how to describe it. Elegant. See, Stephen King, I feel in some most regards, most of the books I have read are just well worded, like I said, and he has the ability to create a beautiful vision, an extensive. So if Lou is an air sign, he has the ability to create beauty in one's mind when they're reading his book and making them feel love in their heart sometimes because you get attached to characters very much so. Like I just watched the movie It the other night and I was like, wow, this is describes Stephen King to a G. Anyone who's seen the movie It, I'll just explain really quick. This is about a group of kids that go out and try to get rid of this killer clown, which is really not a killer clown. It's more of the fear factor. And what happens here is that it comes back, so they have to regroup. Now, uh, all but one come back. They're very devoted friends. And I would say this is very Cancerian, Cancer. And his ascendant is Cancer. These people are very family oriented, close knit. And because he has, what is it, Neptune in the third house, I'll get to that. That's great for writing and imagination and also just things around the neighborhood, people around the neighborhood. Um, he was very much, I believe, influenced by obviously his childhood. So he writes a lot of stories about young boys, young men becoming men, and things of that nature. Like what was that? Stand by Me or The Body or something. Anyways, now I'm rambling. But the movie, it really showed me how he is able to create that element of comfort. You know, anyways, that's how I felt. You get really attached. So to the characters, he's extremely descriptive. Like I could joke around and like it takes him 30 minutes to describe a bedroom. I mean, yeah, I mean he's very talented, obviously. Okay, so we were describing sorry, something like so we talked about his sun in Virgo. We talked about the ascendant briefly, and now here we are. The moon. The moon happens to be in Sagittarius. Okay. Now, this is very important for another reason because it happens to be his chart ruler. Now, what does a chart ruler mean? It is a planet that is associated with the ascendant. And since his ascendant happens to be in Cancer, here we are with the moon in the fifth house. Wow, this is great because it does make a couple aspects to Mercury, a sextile actually, and this is Sagittarius and Libra. So this is Sagittarius moon, which is an expansive thought, expansive imagination. This person thinks outside the box. They think about foreign activities because Sagittarius love to travel and things, see foreign areas and yeah. And they're just looking for the big picture associated with Jupiter. Here we are as an individual who just wants to, he's looking at everything, boom, boom, boom. And plus, he has a Virgo. So he can see the details in front of him. And he also has that moon, okay, that expands also his details. So he has both sides. Great. And that's what Libra is all about, having his Mercury in Libra. This man's going to weigh both sides of the situation. If you ask him a question, he seems a little indecisive or slow or, Venus rules over the sign of Taurus and Libra. So sometimes I see these signs as somewhat slow. You see, Taurus is slow physically, sometimes, and we have a Venus that can be slow in the way of thinking. And you think, what's going on? Can they make a decision? Yes, they can, friend. when they're ready. Because these people do extreme research and they want to make sure they're doing the right thing. They're not going to just they don't jump off a cliff, you know. They do the research. So that's Stephen King's Mercury and Libra, a little bit about that. So back to the chart ruler, the moon in the fifth house is that of acting. This was associated with Leo. So it's entertainment. It's the house of pleasures. That's what they call it. It's also associated with children. It's also associated with gambling, games, arts of speculation, all this stuff I read in books. Yeah. Games of speculation. Games of chance, in other words, because we're dealing with, in his case, Jupiter. So, yeah. Jupiter could be associated with gambling. Anyways, now, so that's interesting that having the moon, you know, in the fifth house, and the fifth house is associated with, I'm sorry, very much so, it's creativity, and like I said, children, excuse me, and pretty much the arts. Very creative individual. So having, like I told you, the moon, I think outside the box. And I had to do a lot. What you know, the childhood. I don't know. I mean, it must have been an amazing childhood, or otherwise it wasn't an amazing childhood, and he wanted to make it one in his books. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know how, you know, the biography of Stephen King. Now that I'm doing this, it's like, duh. I mean, I do things out of order. Like, really, I'm this all over the place. I have Sun conjunct Uranus, so boom, boom, what? Plus, I want to discuss something. Mercury conjunct Neptune. See, I have this conjunction, so I know a little bit of conjunction. What's your function? Well, I'll tell you. See, Mercury conjunct Neptune is also in Stephen King's chart. Talk about this for a couple hours. No, I'm just playing. No, really. So we have Mercury, the realm of thought, correct? And then we have a conjunct Neptune. See, Neptune is one of my favorite planets to talk about. If Neptune isn't real, it doesn't. It's not what it appears to be. Neptune could be a wolf in sheep's, or sorry, a sheep in wolf's clothing, correct? Yeah, but also, please, this is a planet of higher thinking. It is a higher octave of Venus, so it's very romantic. This planet is transcendent. Okay, Transcendence, one of my favorite movies. So Mercury conjunct Neptune can indicate an individual who can get lost in time. It's very funny. I always say that. I'm like, people say, "Hey, what happened to you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got lost in time." And you could be kind of known as like a space cadet or possibly an airhead. No, really, but him with Libra, with the Mercury conjunct Neptune Libra now, his is an extremely interesting case. Okay, here we have Stephen King's Neptune. Okay, um, let me just say a couple things about the fourth house, because these things, Neptune and Mercury that I'm speaking of, that conjunction, it conjuncts his IC. What is an IC? It is the lowest part of the chart. Okay, it is what you would call the Anemia coli or something like that, and that's the proper name. But so it's associated with your roots. Where did you come from? Associated with your psychological uh, roots as well. The development of your psyche, psychological. You pick it up from your environment. See, this is your early environment. This is your family. This is you. You're in your home. It's private. Fourth house is private. Now we're dealing with heritage as well. Like, where did you come from? You know, this is a digging deep, actually. The fourth house is very deep. It's a very psychological house. All water houses are. I just want to say really quick that I would say that the fourth house associated with Cancer is the most watery. Then we have Scorpio, is associated with ice, ice queens. This is Scorpio off, you got your ice queen on you. And you're moving on to 12th house with Pisces and the gaseous form. And it's a very interesting that Pisces and Neptune are associated with the gaseous part of the water houses, because that's what Neptune is. It's like gas. It's like you're walking down the street, someone throws like a smoke bomb in front of you, like it's a Houdini, you know? They always say that wherever Neptune is placed in your chart is what you don't see. It's your blind spot when you're driving a vehicle. You know, objects may be closer than they appear. And that is what Neptune's all about, appearance. Okay? And the appearances may not be, they really appear to be, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's great, because that is what Stephen King does. He creates a Mercury conjunct Neptune atmosphere in which you don't know what's real and what's not. And usually obviously this is an amazing place for a writer. Number one, Neptune, like I said, being extremely imaginative and having that writing ability. And Stephen King was just blessed with this. This is a great Mercury position 14. And I'm glad I'm discussing it in relation to this planet. It's very relevant. Okay, yeah, so back to Mercury and the Neptune conjunction, which I'm just, this IC is very important to me. Now, I think that the IC, the medium polite, is neglected when discussed a lot in charts. This is your psychological, this is where you came from. This is like, how did your mind start developing? This is an extremely psychological, how I said over and over. Sorry, so it gets me revved up. I like talking about it. My true passion is psychology. So I use astrology as a reference. It's very interesting how the two collaborate with what it means, because obviously we have the psychological part of observing the patterns of the sky. And if anyone wants to know what astrology is, and you ask me, I'm just going to say it's time, it's patterns. Okay, you can call it whatever you want, a belief system, some type of devil worshiping. No, friend, it's called getting a telescope. It's called looking into the sky. And hey, I don't have nothing on no time on my hands. Well, I have plenty of time on my hands. Why don't I observe the sky? They didn't have televisions back then. So these are pretty accurate observations. Oh, Mercury and Libra will act like this. Well, then you'll be pretty shocked when you find out, when you get to know the real person, that, hey, this kind of lines up. So that's just my thing about astrology. I will tell you to study patterns in time. All right, so back to Stephen King and his Neptune and Mercury. And okay, so this Neptune is in the third house of, was associated with Gemini, like I said, and Mercury. So I would assume it would be associated with writing as well, and it is. So having Neptune in that third house is, like I said, good. Okay, wow. Now it's conjunct the IC. And what does that mean? So in my mind, we have Neptune. We have, this cloudy uh, planet that, hey, where am I? Who took my false teeth type thing, conjunct the family. Now, this person, I don't think Stephen King saw his family very well. I mean, in a clear light. A lot of people have Neptune conjunct the IC. I'm not saying he did, but they have parents or mothers that were on drugs, or either had a mental illness, or just weren't there. Vamoose. You know what I'm saying? Neptune's a Houdini. And yeah, magician. That's definitely a great way of describing. So back to Mr. King, and this is just so, I love to examine this. So if Neptune's associated with the 12th house of Pisces, which could association with mental illness possibly, and we have Mercury, the planet of thought, conjunct Neptune. So what does that mean? Wow. So you would think that that person could have some type of instability in thinking, or no, let's go the other route. The person's extremely imaginative in thought and is very mysterious, very, very mysterious. I would say that the person, Mr. King, was probably I don't know, a loner. I don't know how popular he was. He's popular with his audience behind the scenes, But yeah, so so that's interesting how we have the IC, and we have it's like a little fence there. There's a fence. We have Neptune on one side, knock, knock, knock on the door, because I want to talk to Mercury, which is in the fourth house. So I'm saying is that there's a little barrier between them, which is the psychological roots. So then we have the Mercury conjunct that, and Mercury conjunct Neptune, and all we have is overall confusion. Who am I? Where's my family? I mean, this could be an indication of someone who was adopted, or who doesn't know anything about their mother. It could be a person who is very communicative with their mother, who like to talk to them close. Mercury being associated with children, and the fourth house being associated with nurturing and mother. And then we have he might have been pretty hospitable if you come to his house. He may be a good host. I'm sure his home is quite beautifully decorated. The man loves his aesthetics, and I wonder, Mercury conjunct Neptunes are usually great music. Wow, music lovers out of this world, So that's how that goes. So yeah, I talked about that, and then like I said, I can talk about the Mercury Neptune thing for a while because of the IC involved. So I might mention a couple more times, just as a reference, because yeah, I mean that's pretty important to notice. Okay, so moving on, I made a few notes here, obviously, and what I have here is that Mercury's in Libra, 15 degrees, and it sextiles the moon at 16 degrees Sagittarius, which we discussed. And a sextile is what you would call an easy aspect. It is like a 60-degree angle, anywhere 52 to 68. Sorry, and what happens here is that, yeah, I discussed how Mercury, the culture, the air, is collaborating with fire and the moon. And so we have an imagination out of this universe. Yeah, definitely out of this universe. Because Mercury conjunct Neptune, you're not there. A lot of these people are really out of it. I mean, I'm not saying that they're stupid. They're definitely not stupid. The thing here is that they're just not in the same dimension. It's hard to explain. I have Mercury conjunct Neptune conjunct Venus, so in the fifth. Yeah. Okay, so then his Mercury is sextiling Saturn. And once again, a sextile is an easy aspect. It means that things come easily to you as opposed to a hard aspect, which would be a conjunction, an opposition, or a square. Some conjunctions, you know what I'm saying, can be quite explosive. So having the, okay, so what happens is that the Saturn's in the first house, which I'm going to mention, and it's going to be funny. And so if it's helping out Mercury, it's going to see, I have noticed that Stephen King had a little bit of lack of structure in his chart, so this Saturn comes to the rescue. And being that it's in his first house, it seems that he was very much associated with older adults. They were probably prominent in his life. I mean, it seems like he was wise beyond his years. So if that was the case, then he's associated with older individuals. No, that's what I would assume. And it just seems like he would have a serious approach on life. See, Saturn in the first house is definitely not a good placement. I'm sorry, it's not, you know what I mean? It's a difficult placement. Now, I want to show you something. The first house is that of the ascendant. And how do you appear? Okay, so his is in Virgo. Okay, and then what did I say? Pluto is in the first house. And so is Saturn. So look at this. What is this? What do you see here? A perfect Saturn in the first house depiction is what it is. And it's in Leo, so he's looking off into the side like he's all dramatic, you know, and it looks extremely serious. This is a bleak and passionate look, and you can see in the eyes. You can always see in the eyes if they're an earth sign, because sometimes those seem a little cold, but they're not. And it's same thing with air. You know what I'm saying? But really, I can always notice that kind of stuff. People try to guess. Well, by the way, this is Insomnia. This is an amazing book, I think. The old man, he starts seeing visions and auras, and you know. So yeah, I often, yeah. So with my Mercury conjunct Neptune, hold on, let me regroup. Alright, so I was discussing his appearance. Okay? And like I said, tell all your friends. That's a perfect depiction of Saturn in the first house. Stephen King. Okay, anyway, so we have, I talked about the Mercury conjunct Neptune. Okay, so have we here Mercury sextile Pluto. See, Pluto is 14 degrees Leo, and like I mentioned, it's in the first house. So these people can also often seem magnetic, which they are, and attractive in some way. Attractive. So they may not appear like, you know, sexy or something or whatever, even though Scorpio is associated with some type of sexiness. But it's not really sexy. It's more of a magnetic aura that draws you in, something that compels you to continue to talk to this person. You know, magnetic. Also, they can also seem pretty formidable. Like, oh, wait a minute, should I approach this person? You know, and Stephen King is like, whoa, maybe I should go. With that face, I'm just saying his face is cute. I'm not saying he's ugly. He's not. Okay, so if we have Mercury, you know, with Pluto, put those two together, and we have some writing that is pretty psychological, transforming. We have Pluto talking about, and what mysterious. Okay, and having his Pluto conjunct Neptune. It's also, excuse me, my cat knocked over my thing. Having his Mercury conjunct Neptune is, you know, good for having the whole Pluto thing. It's good for the expansion of the imagination and mysterious writing. Okay, and I also have to mention is man has Mars in Cancer in the 12th house, which is great for a writer. See, Mars is how do you act. Mars is how do you expend your energy. So if we have in the 12th house of like mysteries, listen, I call the 12th house the skeleton land. No, well, it's a house of skeletons, you know, whatever, skeletons in the closet. Nice song. I love that song by Alice Cooper. It's great. I don't know why I can't talk tonight. See, I'm kind of excited about making these videos. Honestly, folks, I already made about 3 Stephen King videos that I did not release because I was like, wow, this is, ugh, I should have said that, I should have said this, and I'm very picky, very, ugh, you know what I mean? And I could probably relate to Stephen King in that way. Stephen King's the same way. I'm sure that he was extremely picky with his wording Yeah, and he has an expansive vocabulary, which is amazing. You know, once again, we have Neptune expanding and making his, you know, not making, but compelling or whatever, his Mercury to be like, hey, let's get going. Let's blast off into space, man. And having Mars in the 12th house is also another indication of blasting off into space. No, actually, it's just great. I mean, it sure comes together in such this, you know, weird way. When you look at a chart and you're like, hey, this makes sense. Whoa. You start wondering. See, I'm a person of logic for the most part. I enjoy mathematical equations and things of that nature. Now, mythology and stuff like that, like, okay, so yeah, I'm supposed to believe all that. Yes, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have to see it to believe it. And when I know that there's time involved in astrology, when I know that we have exact degrees and we have people that are extremely dedicated to their work in the realm of looking at people and saying, wait a minute, hey, there's a direct possible direct correlation. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up here in a couple minutes. I covered most of the Mercury aspects, I believe. I wanted to mention that he has an Aries midheaven, which is amazing. You know, I mean, amazing though. It's excellent. Another good word. Excellent for a person who wants to pioneer on their own, who wants to do their own thing, and usually for entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship could include writing. This is something that you start out on your own. You probably say, hello, hello, I don't need anybody. I don't. Guess what? Okay. His IC is in Libra. So yes, Libra needs people. My husband, he has a Mercury and Venus Libra, and he's always saying he needs people. Well, I understand that. And I'm talking about he's a musician, right? So that makes sense. I mean, Mercury conjunct Venus and all that. And what I'm getting at is what the music and all that, and Venus and the Mercury and Libra. Yeah, it's so like I just like the way it all, like I said, ties together. Collect my thoughts. So my point is, the fourth house being that of the private life, he may really do need, you know, he acts like that he's, he may act or appear that he's extremely like, hey, a go-getter, let's take care of business type thing. In actuality, who knows how many people he had working behind the scenes. Once again, back to that Mars. 12th house is behind the scenes activity. It's a house of mystery, you know? And, people say I don't really like when people call Stephen King a horror writer. Okay, well, fine, yeah, I understand. But to me, the true horror is psychological. That's a true horror movie to me. Yeah, yeah. And so he gives both. You know, his Jupiter is in Scorpio, 23 degrees, I believe, and that is really cool for any type of detective work, expansion of Scorpio. So we have Jupiter expanding any type of Scorpio qualities. Now, let me just see something. Hold on. And I'll explain those qualities since, the Mars is in the 12th house. Wait, hold on. I already talked about that. Let's talk about the Jupiter. And what house is it in? I'm sorry. Jupiter's in the 5th house. That's good. Oh. And it's in Scorpio. How the hell is that possible? Anyways, sometimes I make some mistakes in my notes. I don't know. So anyways, like I said, this is going to Scorpio being a person who wants to get to the root, who wants to get to the issue straight up. Let's go to, if you're a child psychologist, nip it in the bud type thing. Like I said, they're very investigative, great detectives and or psychologists. It's cool because I also have Jupiter in Scorpio, so it's weird. See, when a person does another person's chart, you gotta wonder, hey, why did they really, feel connected? Because what if Jupiters are conjunct, Stephen King's and I, it makes sense. Why I would be, attracted to even caring about him or doing his chart or even reading any of his material. All right, so with all that said, let me just see. I just want to say on a closing note that Stephen King's writing it captures you, it entrances you. It does take you to another realm. You really feel like you're standing right there. I mean, he describes someone's shirt, he describes their shoes, their pants. You know, like so you get what I'm saying. You feel enveloped in, and you feel sometimes part of something. Books can be very, very, yeah. involving. It's fun. Okay. All right, so I think that's all I got to say, King. I hope I did a good job on this one as opposed to the last three that I did not publish. Good, because I hope this one is better. Sure it is. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to me, and my opinions on astrology and psychology. And, well, it's just very interesting to me. And like I said, astrology is it's an extreme passion of mine. Like, wow. And I love talking about it, and I like when people listen. I also love when people subscribe to my channel and or give it a thumbs up, a like, or at least comment and say, hey, you were wrong about Mercury and Libra. It's actually in 17 degrees. No, it's fine. Bye. All right. You guys have a good day, and like I say, goodbye.